Hey everybody, it is Natalie from Power Moon Tarot. Welcome to your reading. Today's reading is discussing the transit of Saturn into Aries and what this means for you. Now, Saturn stays in a particular sign for 2.5 to 3 years. So this is going to be a long transit that is going to take us into 2028. Many years. It feels like 2028 is very far away right now, but it's going to take us into 2028. So we're just at the beginning of Saturn in Aries right now, and I'm calling the reading the dawn of a new age. And Saturn is going to be in Aries for the next couple of years, except for a brief time in September. In the fall season, September, October, November, December, when it retrogrades back into Pisces for a couple of months. And then it's going to go right back into Aries and stay there all the way till 2028. So let's go ahead and take a look at what some of these energies may be feeling like. And for some of you, you may already be kind of feeling Saturn in Aries as Saturn ingressed into Aries on May 24th. So we've had about a week now. And for those of you that have personal planets that are in the early degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, you probably can feel those energies already. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the reading. We have pile number 1, which is the Take Action card. And this is a girl on a horse, or actually the horse has wings. So I think it's a unicorn, perhaps, a girl on a unicorn or an angel on a unicorn. And the card says, take action. Okay, for pile number 1. For pile number 2, we have a woman standing at an altar, presiding over an altar or doing a spell over an altar of fire, and it says you're ready on this card. So you're ready is the message on pile number 2. And then for pile number 3, we have 2 people looking over at the big beautiful sky that is laying ahead for them, and the title of this card that says choose a new direction. Choose a new direction for pile number 3. Okay, so that's 3 different piles, and you can watch more than one pile too as well, but please choose the one that is calling you most: the take action pile, the you're ready pile, or the choose a new direction pile. And you'll go directly to the description box below to choose your pile. For those of you that are wanting to request personal readings with me, details are in the description box for how to do so, whether that's a tarot reading or an astrology reading, natal chart. And for those of you that would like to follow me on social media, I'm Natalie H. Astrology on Blue Sky. And let's go ahead and begin. Ring my bell here. It's a beautiful rainy morning here. I am a little congested, so if you hear me blow my nose, that is why. And let's go ahead and begin. Pile number 1, welcome to your reading. You chose the Take Action card. And today's reading is about Saturn into Aries and the dawn of a new age for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the reading, Saturn stays in a particular sign for 2.5 to 3 years. And with the exception of a little brief period of Saturn back into Pisces this fall, we're going to have Saturn in Aries all the way until the year 2028. So this is a very long energy. We'll have many check-ins as we go with Saturn and Aries, but let's kind of see what this energy is starting off for you as pile number 1. Let's go ahead and see for pile number 1 as it relates to Saturn and Aries in their life and the dawn of a new age for pile number 1, please. Saturn, show us the way. What are you trying to bring forward for pile number 1 as it relates to the dawn of a new age? For Saturn and Aries. Okay. We have, 3 of Wands on the bottom of the deck. That is a card in the tarot that represents the sun in Aries. So very much a, in the 3 of Wands, we see the man kind of holding back a little bit, waiting for the right moment to strike, or waiting for the right moment to take the next action. And so, which normally with Aries, we don't normally hold back. It's more of a take action kind of an energy. But there is a thing with timing and making sure we're doing things at the right time. We have 3 of Swords, Justice. Okay, and these are 2 Libra cards here. So for those of you that have planets in Libra, welcome to your reading. And we have the Knight of Wands, okay? And this is about committing to a solid decision or committing to your principles, okay? And sometimes we have to commit to our principles, and we have certain morals and ethics and principles that we have decided upon for ourselves, okay? And we can't be swayed, even if we can't be swayed on that. We've made our decision, okay? We've taken our decision. We have certain principles that we're protecting, because in the past, perhaps it was very hard to keep boundaries and principles and ethics intact, because people kept kind of coming back in a flashy way, or re-entering the scene in a very flashy way, or coming back on the scene and distracting you, okay? And this could have led to a pattern of, heartbreak, exes coming back, repeating patterns in the past, okay? But I feel like Saturn in Aries is the dawn of a new age for you, and it is about upholding certain principles that you have learned the hard way, pile number 1. The education hasn't been easy. It's been, a tough lesson in boundaries, in emotional pain and suffering. And these are lessons in your life that I feel like have been very hard won. And because of those lessons, you now have certain principles and ethics and standards that you stand by. And let's go ahead and I feel like that's where you're going to be operating from as we move into Saturn and Aries. Let's take a look at the rest of the cards. We have Squirrel, and this talks about having a cheerful, fun disposition and not letting life's distractions take you off course, okay? And maybe things got very serious there for a while. And very not a lot of smiling, and not a lot of reminders to have fun and be creative and activate your most, live dangerously, right? Like the Knight of Wands is coming through and is like, let's live dangerously, right? Pile number 1. And I feel like in the past, maybe you were always down for a good time, pile number 1, or maybe you were like, yeah, in the past, and you're like, cool, and I want to live dangerously, or I want some fun in my life, or I like this flashy person coming into my life that's like, let's live dangerously. Okay, but the main thing on this card is don't let life's distractions take you off course. Okay, and there might be certain people in your life that are coming back. Now, I'll tell you a little story, pile number one. There's somebody in my family that I've been no contact with for almost 10 years, okay? And randomly, just randomly, pile number one, on my birthday, this person sent me a message and was like, hey, happy birthday, or whatever. Now, in the past, this person hurt me a lot, okay, which is the reason for not speaking to this person anymore. And I learned a tough lesson about loving this person or continuing to start the conversation with this person over and over again. And, you know, while they came in very unexpectedly, like, hey, how are you, etc., I was able to hold my boundaries. I was able to stick to my principles and ethics. I was able to consider the way that this person had made me feel in the past and not react to the energy that was coming at me very fast and unexpectedly, and sacrifice my principles, you know, just in that moment, and be like, hey, how are you, like, back. Okay, and because maybe, you know, sometimes there's a part of ourselves that does want things to change or does want a situation to be different, pile number one, and thinks that a person can change, like, oh, maybe over time they have changed, right? So I think it's, you know, don't let life's distractions take you off course. If you have your mind made up about something and you have taken a lot of work to karmically realign yourself with the right direction in life, if you're having a lot of distractions and people coming back into your life and trying to get your attention and be flashy with it and all of that, I feel like you're not reacting to that, pile number one, okay? You're choosing to uphold your principles and all the lessons that you've learned over time, okay? Especially when it comes to people who have been very adversarial with you, people who have broken your heart in the past, people who have really taken advantage of your kindness. I feel like, you know, you're going to probably come back with a rather cold response. Justice card to that energy. Yeah, we have protection here. Absolutely. Being protected from these past mistakes, being protected from the past. We have answers. You will resolve your current situation soon. You find unique ways to stand out. Yeah, and I love this here with this Knight of Wands. And just because you're maintaining your principles and your ethics about something that was a very tough lesson for you doesn't mean that you're not going to have opportunities to break out of your shell or have fun or live dangerously in your own way. And this talks about finding unique ways to stand out and finding unexpected opportunities, okay? And finding new ways to be showing off your talents and your skills, okay? And yeah, I love that for Saturn and Aries. So finding ways to show off your talents and your skills and unique ways to stand out in an environment where it can be very hard to stand out to decision makers. Now, for those of you that have been looking for work and you've had one rejection after another, pile number one, okay? And it's just been so disheartening. Okay, remember, rejection is divine protection. We've got this protection card here. And, you know, if you've just been getting the shaft left and right, trying to apply for jobs or trying to, and it's just been, so frustrating. I feel like You know, with this Knight of Wands, you're finding unique ways to stand out with what you're doing. Okay. And you're adding like a touch of spice, I feel like, or even maybe more than a touch of spice to everything that you do. Okay. And I feel like you have gotten very serious. Like Justice in the Three of Swords is a very, very serious energy. Now, when we see the Knight of Wands, we need to have fun and relax and enjoy our lives a little bit more, and do something crazy and do something out of the box, which I feel like you guys are going to do. Like you are going to do something crazy. You are going to do something out of the box that no one's expecting without sacrificing your principles, without losing the lessons of the past. I feel some of you are in for like a wardrobe or a makeover, perhaps a different hairstyle, where you just feel really confident, bubbly, and sexy with it. Okay. And, you know, and in the past with this squirrel energy, you might have been very like guarded, or you might have been, I also feel you're becoming more active during Saturn and Aries. For those of you that are like, yeah, I put on some weight, I wasn't as active, I was very serious, and I was really, for those of you that were really hitting the books really hard and you didn't have time to really physically do anything to work out or anything, I feel like Saturn and Aries is kind of the kick in the ass that you need. Pile number one. Okay. So I feel some of you are, you know, new wardrobe, new hair, a kick in the ass when it comes to getting up and moving and doing something and moving your body. And, you know, and maybe there was this aspect of being afraid to try something new, because in the past when you tried, it wasn't a good response, or, you know, people made fun of it, or you just felt like it was low quality, or it wasn't any good, or this type of thing. Okay. And I feel like confidence with the Knight of Wands here, confidence is coming back. Okay, pile number one, we're having more confidence and we are finding unique ways to show how flamboyant and fun we are here. We have Seahorse, Family Matters. Yeah, that's so interesting that I mentioned, I was talking about family earlier, and an example from my own life, because it's popping up in this reading. And we have Family Matters. Okay. So Saturn and Aries could be bringing up some situations with family members. Maybe you have family members that have planets in Aries. Okay. Or Pisces with the Seahorse, or Sagittarius. Okay. And it says you're the expert at hard work and hard play. But maybe somebody in the family is feeling neglected. Maybe there is someone in the family that is feeling left out or neglected, or perhaps you have felt very left out or neglected. Pile number one. Okay. And, or just not like other people in your family. And there's, you know, there could be 2 to 3 people, maybe 2 people in your family that really get along, and you feel like the odd man out, like like a third wheel with the 3 of Swords. Like the third wheel is where we feel kind of awkward because 2 people are really bonding with each other, and then we're kind of like there and we feel like a little awkward with it. And I feel like what you're saying is, you're saying, you know what, I'm not going to let this bother me. I'm not going to let this like create any confidence issues with confidence or anything in my life. That's fine. It's not fine, but it's like, I'm going to move on from this and find my own way. Okay. But perhaps there is somebody who is feeling rather left out or alone or not seen, okay? And maybe you do really care about that person and you want to help them feel seen or not alone. We have Owl, good advice from a wise person, okay? And Justice is very advice giving. And I do feel during Saturn and Aries, your wisdom is increasing and people are seeking you out. Pile number 1 for advice. And they want to know what they should do about a particular situation. And maybe someone in the family is trying to give advice to someone, but they're not really listening, or they have their mind made up to go like in a different direction with something, okay? There's family matters here and advice from a wise person, but I also feel like perhaps you're maybe trying to give advice to a family member, but they're not really listening, and so that's a little bit hard to see somebody make decisions that are not in their best interest. Pile number 1. And for those of you that have family members that are making decisions that are not in their best interest, and yet they are still trying to come to you for advice and things and look to you for answers, or coming to you to seek your approval or protection about something, that could definitely be coming up with Saturn and Aries. And with the 3 of Swords here, there may be some codependency around that, and you're starting to maybe see it for what it is, and it's not that you don't have compassion towards the situation, pile number 1, because I feel you do care. It's just that you've got to be really, because there's aspects of the Saturn and Aries where you're having to make decisions about where to put your energy. And then, there's going to be times that need to be very high energy with the Knight of Wands, that are going to be very demanding, high energy periods for you. So, yeah, I would take that into account. We have feathered omens. Even the sweetest birds can harbor fierce intentions. Wow. Okay. And fierce intentions is definitely the Knight of Wands. Okay, because the Knight of Wands can really be like a driving force, and a person that has fierce intentions coming into your life. Fierce intentions aren't necessarily a bad thing, but they can test our boundaries. Pile number 1, that's for sure. We have anomaly, okay? And this is where we can feel very different than other people, or we feel like, you see all the black birds in the background and then you see the one white bird. So anomalies can be beautiful, though. Anomalies can be unique and different and stand out in very unique ways. And maybe there's a sacrifice there, because it's like, I don't fit in with these people like I used to anymore, and I feel really different. But you're also discovering more of who you are, and you're standing out even more, I feel. We have storyteller. Wow, okay. And this is the ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. And we also have a shadow attribute there of making up tales that harm other people. And this may be where you are changing and you are different, and because people don't understand you sometimes, pile number 1, they like to make up stories about you that aren't true. I feel like with justice here at the center, you're not going to let that bother you. You're just going to cut right through the bullshit, okay? If there's stories, well, I heard that pile number one is this or that or doing this or that. I feel like if there's stories out there, you'll cut right through the bullshit. But storyteller, having a very powerful story to tell about, being unique and being different, or having a very unique and powerful story is something that's coming through here. We also can see the music notes. So perhaps we're writing song lyrics, or we're singing, or putting something together for a book. We're making songs from journal entries that we've made, things like that, like from your journal. Very creative. I love the Knight of Wands for like spontaneous creativity and being like a really fun storyteller. So I like that. We have Pluto in transformation. Okay, and I also feel like with this Knight of Wands and Pluto here, the Knight of Wands is very like tapped into their fire sexually. So, I feel like you're very sweet and calm and nice person on the outside with the Justice card here. But there is a part of you that's also like a tiger, I feel, pile number one. And even though you're like a very sweet person, there is this very fierce, deep, sexually charged, mysterious, intriguing storyteller that has this powerful story to talk about the trials and tribulations of being different or being unique when it comes to your story. And perhaps some of you are going to be writing about a coming of age story or discovering your sexuality and writing about that or talking about that. And I also feel that there is like a sexual revolution change that is happening within you, that is raising your chi and raising your fire and raising up the desire aspect within you, okay? And I feel like it's very freeing, though. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's something that is very, very freeing. And I feel like you can handle it now in your life because you're at that point where you're very like wise and you've got some incredible stories to share with other people. You're very focused on maintaining your ethics, your morals, and your principles with justice. You've learned a lot from the past about what to get involved with and what not to get involved with. And some of you may be going on, deep shamanic inner journeys to discover a part of your fire that's been missing, or to awaken a sexual force or a sexual energy within. And you're doing that through music, storytelling, creativity. Very interesting energy, pile number one. I like it. We have surrender. The energy of surrender supports our energy to let go of control and yield to the flow of love and life, okay? To let go of control and yield to the flow of love and life, okay? And, this could be where we've gotten kind of rigid about some things with justice because of pain and heartbreak that we've had in the past, and we're really protecting ourselves, okay? And we're not allowing ourselves to have new experiences that would really awaken us and alive us sexually, because we're like holding on to the reins of control really, really tightly. Okay, so some of Saturn and Aries is about trusting yourself and trusting that you can maintain soft control. It's like the strength card in the tarot. that you can maintain that soft control without sacrificing your principles or your ethics in a situation, but be open to, like, you know, sexual awakening, going deeper within, surrendering. Ooh, oh my gosh. I just saw a massive mosquito, and I can't believe I saw that at the same time I was doing your reading. Oh my goodness. Pile number one. That kind of scared me for a second, but you better believe I killed that son of a bitch, okay? So pile number one, oh my God. That's Pluto energy coming in right there. Oh my God. I was like, what is that? And I saw it crawling on some of my tarot cards, and I was like, oh no. And I mean, it was big, and I just killed the thing. So anyway, that's very Plutonian that showed up in your reading. But yeah, I didn't freak out, right? Like, it's like when we're faced with situations that are kind of scary, like we just kind of face them head on and deal with them. I know it's only, I think it was a mosquito. It might have been some other type of bug. I don't know, pile number one, but I took care of business for you, okay? So pile number one, that is what I am getting for you, my lovelies. I'm wishing you the very best and hope you have a beautiful day ahead. Take care now. Let's move on to pile number two. Okay. Pile number two, welcome to your reading. You chose the You're Ready card today. And today's reading is about Saturn into Aries and the dawn of a new age for you. And Saturn is usually in a sign for 2.5 to 3 years. So it's a long little journey. We'll have a brief re-entry of Saturn into Pisces during the fall season of this year. But mainly Saturn and Aries will be with us until 2028. So that is a long time. We will be experiencing Saturn in Aries. And let's go ahead and see. And because it's such a long time, pile number two, we're just kind of taking a look at the beginning part of Saturn and Aries here and what it means for you, okay? So we're not trying to predict out, 3 years into the future or anything. We're just seeing what this initial phase of Saturn and Aries is about for pile number two. And I just saw the Nine of Swords. So perhaps Saturn and Aries is making you a little nervous, or you're like, okay, good. And let's go ahead and see here that we're not going to try to predict out the next 3 years of your life, but we're just looking at, day to day, taking it day by day, pile number two, okay? Let's see here for pile number two. You can't really rush things. I was going to try to hurry and get the cards out for you, but okay. The cards were like, we're not done shuffling yet. We have Eight of Swords on the bottom of the deck, okay? And let's take a look. Empress, ooh, I'm glad we waited, right? Four of Swords, ooh. And Six of Swords. Okay. Well, geez, I'm glad we took our time with that and we didn't try to rush ourselves into a decision, or we didn't try to rush ourselves into a reading, that we allowed ourselves time to, breathe, inhale, exhale with my flow, pile number two. And the message here is about not letting Saturn and Aries rattle you in any way to keep on keeping on. And for those of you that are like nervous or worried, or you're like, God, I don't know, I've just been so confused. And you know, this Eight of Swords does have to do with Jupiter and Gemini. This is a Jupiter and Gemini card, and we've had Jupiter and Gemini, which we've had an abundance of information, an abundance of decisions. We've had so much going on. We've all been on mental overload and mental overstimulation, and, you know, a little bit unable to really put our feet in the ground and sort of ground ourselves, right? And maybe some of you were having a hard time sleeping because you were very mentally overstimulated, and you know, drinking a lot of coffee or a lot of stimulants, or just overdoing it. And for some of you, it could have been giving you headaches, or it could have been dehydrating you, or just making decision making even more challenging, of not knowing what to do, and being like anxious about things, you know, and thinking like, oh, my intuition is telling me this, but then the opposite happens, and it's like, well, what the hell, you know? So I feel like you guys are definitely needing like a reset. You're needing peaceful, calm strolls in nature, strolls in the garden, you know, a beautiful porch or a deck that you can sit on and relax and watch the birds jump around and play, and looking at things around you in the world and going, oh, that's so pretty, or oh my gosh, that looks, you know, and being in a very calming energy, being in a very calming environment is something that we can see. Also with the Empress, very lucrative, right? Very comfortable, very lucrative, very relaxed, not letting anything bother her with the Empress, okay? So let's see what else we've got here. We've got Frog and Prosperity. Ooh, I like that. Pile number 2, money, money, money. Let go of the past and embrace change. Opportunities are close at hand. Hop into this new day with joy. Abundance and good fortune await you. And actually, Jupiter in Cancer, I haven't done a reading on Jupiter in Cancer yet, but we're going to have Jupiter in Cancer for this first year of Saturn in Aries, and it could be quite a prosperous transit for you. Pile number 2, okay? And Frog energy is hopping around, jumping around, trying different things, seeing what's out there, finding the best thing for you. We have Hunger. Ooh, okay. I just want to be chill. Just leave me alone. World, don't be up my ass all the time. Like, and maybe some of you are wanting to get away, or you're thinking about taking a trip to, you know, a cabin or a family summer vacation home, or you know, going camping, or going to a nice posh cabin with lots of goodies in it, and lots of fruit and snacks and things like that. And for those of you that have ever, experienced actual hunger and not having enough food and worrying about food, my heart totally goes out to you. Pile number 2. And I feel like, you know, that's a very hard energy to deal with, my loves. And I feel like with the Empress, you're gonna have enough. Like, it's about being abundant and blessed, and having a beautiful place to lay your head at night, and being super comfortable, your favorite chair, reading a book, snacking on some strawberries, right? Like really appreciating those moments where we feel a sense of calm and peace, right? and enjoyment with our life. And sometimes in those moments of calm and peace and surrender, we're like, okay, I'm ready for more. I'm ready for more in my life, or I feel like I'm at a good place and I feel very secure in myself and very confident in in myself. I'm ready for more, And the Four of Swords could be where we're kind of like we're resting and we're chilling, but we're kind of bored perhaps, and maybe we're ready to move on to something different, or we're ready to try something different. Okay, and we have magic. You have the power now. Use your magic to attract what you want into your life. The sky is the limit. Yeah, and all is peaceful on the Western Front, pile number 2, and maybe it's in that moment that you decide, you know what, I actually feel really good. Physically, I feel good. And mentally, I feel calm. And I'm ready to do something now. I'm ready to, like, if you had been holding yourself back because you physically didn't feel well, you mentally didn't feel well, like your material needs, you didn't have your basic material needs met. I feel like Saturn in Aries actually brings you to a point where you're feeling good about yourself, you're mentally stable, you're feeling very relaxed. And at this point, it's like, I'm ready for something else, I'm ready for something different. We have wreath and sorrow over a loss, okay? And we have fly, a period of ill health and depression. And I feel like this is what you've been this is kind of what you've been going through. Pile number 2, like not the best health situations. Your medication could have run out, or it was difficult to get the medication that you needed. And, there could have been, somebody in your life, perhaps a family member, a friend, a relationship that went away, and it just triggered a period of bad health. And I feel like some of you could have been eating food that was making you sick, or you could have been like taking too much of a medication and it was making you sick. And then pile number 2. I'm getting something about eggs as well. Eggs and potatoes are somehow coming through here too. Maybe some of you had an allergic reaction to something, or some type of a food or an insect bite that really affected you. Like it was like this loss that you experienced in your life really triggered this period of ill health and depression. And perhaps you were drinking again, or you were not eating the best food, or you were taking too much of a medication, is what I'm seeing here. Okay, and I feel like this has been in the past of what you've been experiencing. I mean, the Empress is the frog represents detox. So for those of you who went to some type of a detox or a treatment, and you felt like very like refreshed, and you start to feel more like yourself again, and you start to feel like your body is functioning like normal again. And I don't know why Spirit is showing me like pee, but perhaps, you can get a lot of information about someone's health through their urine. So perhaps for you, it was, something that got diagnosed through your urine or something like that, pile number 2, or you can just tell by looking at it what's going on within you, that type of thing. Okay, not to be gross, sorry, pile number 2, but I feel like you're entering into a better phase here where you're feeling like more comfortable, you're feeling grateful for your life, you're physically like everything is clear. I see the water in the background and it's running clear. That's a good sign that all is going well with your physical health. And I love the clear and clean water and the Six of Swords too. Like mentally, you have a lot of clarity. Mentally, you're not confused or mixed up. You've got an idea of where you would like to head in the future, okay? And we have anger, and this can be a big part of Saturn and Aries, where I feel like Saturn and Pisces was more like giving up or depression or just saying, fuck it, nothing matters anymore. And just kind of feeling like everything was sort of like rotting from within. And then Saturn in Aries is a very different energy. It has to do with more with getting fired up over things or learning how to handle our anger in a way that is most healthy, right? And some people would rather be angry rather than depressed. And some people would rather be depressed rather than angry. I feel for me, pile number 2, I would rather be angry than depressed. I don't know how you feel, but I'll take Saturn and Aries. At this point, I mean, I haven't obviously been living in the energy of Saturn and Aries too long myself either. It is going to oppose my ascendant at some point here, but I would take, learning how to be, more straightforward with my feelings and confront my anger and make sure I ask for what I want and all of that. And learning to get over like fake politeness, like I don't need anything, I'm fine, like I'm good, you don't, and holding anger within versus like crippling and aching depression. So I don't know how you feel, pile number 2, but I would rather be taught a lesson about processing anger than living in a feeling of rotting depression. And I've dealt with both in my life, so I can, because at least with anger, it motivates you to get up and do something, right? At least it forces you to confront something in the moment versus depression can be a totally different ball game. So pile number 2, I feel like, and because in this year of our Lord 2025, we do have part of this year is Saturn in Pisces and part of this year is Saturn in Aries. You may feel like you're kind of in both phases, like you're kind of bouncing in between both. Like, maybe there's a period of time where you're feeling depressed or you're feeling sad, and then times when you're feeling angry and motivated. And if that's how you're feeling, that's totally normal because we see this in this transition year as Saturn is kind of like moving into Aries and then retrograding back into Pisces. And then in early 2026, Saturn will station in Aries for the next several, it's not going to move out of Aries once we get into 2026, okay? And I actually feel Saturn in Aries is more like, I feel it's better for you than Saturn in Pisces, pile number 2, okay? So for those of you that have been really worried about it and you've been very angry about what's happening in the world, perhaps some of you are very angry because there are hungry people in the world and you just want to help people, or you want to volunteer your time or do things to share the abundance and bounty with others. I feel like, that is a way to deal with that energy. And it says on this anger card, it says, your expectations are not met, creating frustration. Express it in a healthy way, okay? So the Empress is where, we're with the Four of Swords and the Six of Swords is like, I want everything to be easy. Life, don't give me any more shit, okay? I want to get enough sleep. I want to be comfortable. I want things to be nice. I don't want my mind to be all messed up. Like, life, please, just quit messing with me, okay? And then when we have moments where things get messed up, we could get very angry about that. But I also feel like that maybe is connected to some type of a magic moment. It says use your magic to attract what you want into your life, right? And the anger can be frustration with how long it's taking to get to that point, right? And, you know, trying different things, different perspective, different viewpoints, detoxing, drinking more water, sleeping, getting the right nutrition, being grateful for little things. Oh, I'm just sitting here in this comfortable chair reading this book and eating some strawberries. This is nice, type of thing, right? And not getting frustrated if 100% of our expectations are not met right away. Which with Aries, it can be like that. We want things to happen now. But Saturn is like, it takes time to build a good life. It takes time to reach our, destination in life, which is, that's expected. We have commitment here, and we have rescuer, okay? Rescuer provides strength and support to others in a crisis. Yeah, I was talking about how, sharing with others, being angry that it's like, okay, I have all this bounty, but yet there are people that are starving. How can I help others? A rescuer acts out of love with no expectation of a reward for something. And sometimes we do a good deed expecting we're going to get recognition or a reward, and it doesn't happen right away, or we feel like our efforts are not recognized and seen right away, and that can make us kind of angry, right? And rescuers, sometimes it feels like we're not really appreciated like we should be, right? And that's where that anger can come up too. It's like, okay, I was there for you. I helped you. I helped you to move through this part of your life, and you weren't there for me when I needed you, okay? And I see the water here in the background, and it looks like she's throwing a life raft. I feel this is very attached to Saturn and Pisces, pile number 2. Saturn has been in Pisces since like March of 2023. If you feel like you've met a lot of people that needed rescuing and you made this big commitment to helping them, but all it did is bring you like, a lot of grief when they left your life, or it was too much for you and it brought on a period of ill health or suffering in your own life. I feel like Saturn and Aries is like getting kind of mad about that and is saying, I want to help people. I want to be there for them. I want to help take care of people and share everything that I'm so grateful for, but I'm not going to keep rescuing these same people over and over and over again. Okay. And if you feel like you're the one that's needed to be rescued by other people, such as parents or, things like that, pile number 2, and you're wanting to get away from that and you're wanting more freedom for yourself, or you're wanting to move, for those of you, some of you may have had to move home or go live with mom and dad, and no shame, the economy's been really, really bad, But I feel like with Saturn and Aries, it's kind of like, okay, I'm finally getting to a good place within myself where I can move on, right? I'm ready to make changes in my life. I'm ready to kind of hit the highway and move on to a new adventure. And yeah, and it's probably within times of resting and meditation that you start to realize what you are like in need of and what you're really hungry for. Okay, and here we have sun and spirit. I love that. Vitality. Okay, it's like waking up. And it's confidence too. It's like, I have value, I have worth. And maybe it's time to rescue yourself, right? Maybe it's time to make that commitment to yourself to really take this opportunity to have some self-care and some mothering for your own self, from your own self to yourself, okay? And to really rest and relax, and then you can get to the point where you're ready to move on to the next thing when your energy is feeling very charged at that moment and you're starting to feel more like yourself again. Instead of, maybe some of you maybe felt kind of used by certain people in your life while Saturn was in Pisces, or you felt that you were giving a lot and you felt kind of used. And, you know, the sun is about taking care of your individual self first and taking care. And it's also about generosity and honor and glory and helping others and everything, but realizing that you're the center of your own universe. Pile number 2. And then we have prosperity. That's so interesting because we have prosperity twice in your reading coming up. It's on the frog card and then it's on this card. And it says, the frequency of prosperity supports our feeling of well-being, allowing the inclusion of everything that makes our mind, body, heart, and soul and spirit sing. It invites us to express ourselves in joy and celebration. Yeah, that's the sun. And of the abundance and riches that the universe is providing. Okay, and perhaps there are certain commitments that you need to reevaluate with Saturn and Aries to see if it's still worth your time and time and money. For those of you that have been supporting other people or taking care of other people way beyond what you would normally be expected to do financially or materially, and it really drained your energy, okay? Because money is energy and prosperity is tied to that energy of, you know, if we're hitting a period of ill health and depression, that can really affect our prosperity and our money. I know, because even on this channel, pile number 2, I went through a period of really bad health situation for the last like year and a half. I'm finally starting to come out of it and get some vitality back, which is definitely the sun card and vitality, but I'm finally starting to come out of that. But it really did affect my channel, my ability to offer my services or market myself in a more like aggressive way, I would say. And sometimes we can get very angry with our body and with ourselves because we can only do so much, particularly if we're not feeling well. Okay, and it can definitely impact our prosperity when we're not feeling well, for sure. And we may need to reevaluate the commitments that we've made to other people, particularly if those commitments are starting to feel like a draining thing and they're not really bringing us joy anymore. And, you know, sometimes we have to really start taking care of ourselves and taking care of our, you know, our skin, our hair, our health, our sleep patterns, like everything. We have to start taking care of all of that stuff in order to get to a place where we're more like mentally balanced so that we can move away from a period of our life that has been very, very, very testing, right? And with the frog energy showing up here, I feel, and there's 3 frogs here, I feel like there is a detox for you that is coming in 3 different phases, okay? And I feel like, you know, the first phase is like the Saturn in Pisces. The second phase is the ingress of Saturn into Aries in May of this year. And then the third phase is the last ingress of Saturn into Pisces in September of this year. And then after that, it's like you're moving forward, okay, in February of 2026. All right. There's no more of these kind of issues. I feel like it's smooth sailing for you. And because of that, because your health and vitality is returning, and some of you just may have been really burned out too here, but I feel like your health, your vitality, your hunger for things is returning. Prosperity is coming back into your life, and you're feeling much more engaged with what you're working on in your life, okay? So pile number 2, my loves, do not be scared of Saturn and Aries. I actually feel like it's going to be really good for you after we get past this last Saturn and Pisces transit that we're having at the end of this year, okay? So pile number 2, wishing you the very best, my loves. Take care. Let's move on to pile number 3. Pile number 3, welcome to your reading. You chose the Choose a New Direction card. And today's reading is a Saturn and Aries reading about the dawn of a new age for you. Now, Saturn is in Aries Saturn is in any sign really for 2.5 to 3 years. So we're just going to be looking at the beginning phase here of Saturn and Aries and what that means for you. Pile number 3, okay? And let's go ahead and take a deep breath. And really pause in the moment. Pile number 3. See what the cards have to say regarding the dawn of a new age for pile number 3. Never can really rush things with Saturn. There we go. 7 of Wands on the bottom of the deck. Alrighty. Fierce. 7 of Wands is very fierce. We've got the Queen of Swords. Ooh, I like it. 4 of Wands. And 7 of Cups. Ooh, okay. Now the 7 of Cups can be, this reading is called, for you guys, you chose Choose a New Direction. So I feel like with the Queen of Swords, you definitely do choose a new direction when it comes to all areas of your life, when it comes to love, friendship, relationships, connection, having fun, enjoying your life, when it comes to your living situation, when it comes to living in a place that feels really exciting, opening and inviting. I ran into my neighbor the other day, and her and her husband have lived in the complex that we live in for 24 years, pile number 3, and they basically are moving into senior living now. And they seemed really excited because they're like, we're going to play cards, we're going to meet people, they seemed really happy with the decision. And I mean, what a huge change to make that decision to go to live somewhere else. And after 24 years of living in the same place, to go to a place where they're going to be around more people their age, and they're going to be able to connect and talk to people and be social with people. And yeah, I mean, I was like, whoa, what a huge change you guys are making. And it's right as, Saturn has moved into Aries. And some of you could be making some really big life-changing changes like that. Maybe not moving into senior living, pile number 3, depending on your age, but, big life-changing decisions that, you've really analyzed and thought through. And, you've taken the time to basically look at all the options and pick what you feel is the best for you. And there still may be with the 7 of Cups, there still may be some part of you that's a little bit unsure, is like, is this the right decision? Is this the right thing? Is this the right, I've got all these grand ideas and I think that this is going to make me happy, but I don't know. I was watching a video of a woman who was like, I'm selling everything and I'm moving to Italy. I'm moving to Europe. Okay. And I was like, wow, and she was doing it all herself and everything. And I was like, wow, so brave, right? And she seemed very sure of her decision. Like, yeah, I got this. And then she got over to Italy and she was kind of like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing here. 7 of Cups, right? Like, did I just think that I could do this, or did I just think that this was like a dream type of thing? And anyway, I think she's doing a lot better now, but I think initially that's how she was feeling. And she's like, whoa, did I like take something on that is like way too like, amorphous and big, and like, it's like we can make a decision thinking it's like very simple and easy, and this is going to be great, and this is going to be like so happy, and I'm going to make so many connections with people. And then we get to a place and we feel kind of like lost with the decision that we made. And that's part of 7 of Wands, of being brave and being courageous and like working through the energy. And and she was saying, oh, I might just decide to go somewhere else, right, other than Italy. But now it seems like she's doing a lot better there, and that she found a town that she likes there. And she was trying to pick a town and she was getting like really confused. So, some of you could be embarking on decisions like this where you're like making some really big life choices during Saturn and Aries. And it doesn't have to be exact choices like that, but it could be these really big life choices. And you're like, okay, this is a little, 7 of Wands. I got to be a little ballsy. I got to be a little gutsy here. I'm not exactly sure of what I'm doing. Am I going to regret this decision later? Or be like, I have no idea what I'm doing type thing. So let's take a look and see. We have dog and friend. Today I will love without condition. My energy and enthusiasm are an inspiration. I choose to be happy. I am a protector and a friend. Oh, isn't that sweet? I have a good friend of mine. Her dog recently passed in February. And I feel like her dog is coming through in this reading. It's so sweet. And of course, our pets have a big impact on our decisions. Like if we choose a new direction in life. It's like, okay, what am I going to do with my dog? How am I going to get my dog there? What will I do with my cats? What will I do with my dogs, right? We always have to factor in our animals into our decision making. And, you know, this could be about a friend too, or for those of you that are wanting to make more friends and you're like, yeah, you know, I just got to this new place and Four of Wands, I'm wanting to meet people, I'm wanting to be social, I'm wanting to make friends, get to know new people. Perhaps some of you will be adopting a pet during Saturn and Aries. Maybe some of you will be getting a new puppy or a new kitty, or your beloved pet is, you know, I know my pet's getting older. My sweet Franny is 11 years old and she has some she's got some health conditions, and the idea of like having to let her go at some point during Saturn and Aries, which is probably going to happen, is like, pile number 3. But yeah, dogs and pets, aren't they? They're just the absolute cutest. And, I'm going to cry. Pile number 3. They're so cute. And perhaps some of you are like, wanting to move to a better place for a pet, or you're wanting to get a pet, or you have pets and you're like, I am wanting to make some life decisions. But I think the girl that moved to Italy, I think she has a dog or a cat, and she took her animal with her. But that does factor into the decision making, I feel. Okay, we have Strength card here. Oh, isn't that sweet? Your pet, for those of you that have pets, they're like, Mommy, you're so strong, or Daddy, you're so strong, if whoever is watching this reading. But pets provide so much strength, and their little souls they just want to live. They're so strong in spirit because they're like made of pure love, and we can get so much of our own strength from watching our pets and watching how they handle challenges. Oh, pile number 3, I'm gonna cry. It's so sweet. Anyway, and maybe some of you are like, you know what? The strength of a connection with a friend is like so strong, and I've been thinking about, moving to live closer to this friend, or spending more time with this friend, or this type of thing. I don't know how it would all work out. The plans are still in the works, but the strength of the bond is absolutely scary between me and this person. And my God, like we just have there's so much there. It's like I would make the decision to go there in an instant, but there's like so many things to think about. We have great match. You're on the verge of finding the perfect thing for you. Don't give up. You may need to grow your own business to be truly happy. Okay? And some of you here may need to, you're looking for something that is a great match to your energy. Okay? And that could be like, deciding to start your own company, start your own business. That could be starting a business with a friend or a partner. That could be like finding the perfect role for you. And it says work-wise, and it says you're on the verge of finding this. Pile number 3. Isn't that exciting? You're on the verge of this. And it is going to take you in a whole new direction. And I feel some of you are going to meet some amazing friends from that, from taking your work in a new direction. And the Queen of Swords can definitely be a writer, a communicator. Some of you may be doing a lot more writing and communication and getting your thoughts out there and things like that, documenting your journey, documenting your research. I can definitely see that coming into play. I feel like during Saturn and Aries, you're becoming an expert at something with the Queen of Swords. And some of you may be taking your skills to a new environment where you're going to meet an amazing friend, an amazing supporter, and you're like, wow, this is so amazing and great. And maybe right now with the Seven of Cups, you're like, I'm having trouble seeing how it's going to all come together right now. But this is part of the Saturn and Aries journey for you of, developing this, because I feel like there is something developing here. We have younger man, dealings or relationship with a younger man. Oh boy. All right. Well, some of you may have, I'm going to blow my nose. Sorry, pile number 3. I got a little, it's raining today, so. And plus, I almost cried earlier when I saw the dog come through. So I got to blow my nose. I'm sorry. And younger man. So some of you could be dating somebody who's actually younger than you, or a friend. This could be a man or a woman, somebody that's a little younger than you, but is like a very loyal person in your life, or a very good friend, and is a protector and a friend, and loves without condition, all of that, and is a very strong person, very strong-minded, very loyal, and is going to be a great match for you. And for those of you that have been truly like dead single for a long time, Saturn and Aries, Saturn's going to be in Aries until 2028. Some of you could actually be meeting somebody during Saturn and Aries as well here. We have Turkey. Someone is behaving stupidly. Well, if someone is behaving stupidly, I don't think you're going to put up with it for too long, pile number 3, because you're very clear with the Queen of Swords. You're very dialed into what you expect to see in anything that you're doing. And so if you are dating someone that's younger, and they start acting a fool or acting whatever, you're gonna call it out and point it out right away. I think this thing of someone is behaving stupidly, some of you here may be afraid of making the wrong decision about a major decision in your life, and down the road it may involve another person, or a man, or someone else down the road, okay? I do feel like this younger person is coming out with friend and strength and great match. So I actually do think that this person is good and a good match, as a friend or a person in your life. They may not do everything perfectly all the time, and the Queen of Swords can definitely have a lot of criticisms for the way that people are acting or the decisions people are taking. And it could also be you just being afraid of making the wrong decision about people in your life, and then, messing things up, right? But I feel like you're very clear-headed with the Queen of Swords. You're very clear-headed. In fact, you may even err a little bit on the critical side, pile number 3, where you're actually judging something a little bit more harshly maybe than it needs to be judged. So, take that with a grain of salt as we move into Saturn and Aries. And, we have unseen patterns. Change your thoughts, change your life. Beliefs and reprogramming. Well, that's the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is very straightforward, practical, and sees the patterns in things very quick and very easily. And we have a car driving over a bridge here. So some of you could be thinking about moving or leaving or going to a new place. Some of you could actually be getting a new car during Saturn and Aries, getting a pet during Saturn and Aries, meeting someone during Saturn and Aries, and you're very keen to understand your patterns with things so you don't like mess it up, okay? And but I feel like you're doing really good with that, pile number 3, okay? And the only time it can become toxic is if we totally don't know what we're looking for and we're just randomly making decisions, or if we're refusing to acknowledge patterns that we've had in the past, okay? That's the only way that it could really go astray. And maybe some of you are like, yeah, if I do meet someone, I'm going to go straight into therapy and make sure I'm not making a dumb decision for my life. And I mean, I think that's a great thing to do. And yeah, if you're like, you know what, if I do meet somebody, I'm going to make sure my head is on straight and I'm seeing things clearly and I'm not just making up a fantasy of how I want things to be and things like that, that this person is actually a great match for me and I'm not just seeing what I want to see type thing, okay? And sometimes the best way to do that is to, journal and write and then look at the things and be really honest with ourselves, talk to a friend about it or talk to a therapist about it, okay? And we have wrath. Oh my God. And this is looking like birds all, flying all over the place, okay? And I mean, Aries is a sign that can be quite wrathful if it's not getting what it wants. And, wrath can sometimes be people acting a little immature if they're not getting what they want, okay? And perhaps some of you are going to maybe run into some people that are like that are a little less mature than you, that sometimes don't really see their own patterns and have a tendency to act out when they don't get what they want. All right. And I mean, I feel like you're definitely going to see it for what it is. Pile number 3 with the Queen of Swords. Like, you're not going to be fooled. You're not going to be like, if a person is immature and gets mad when they don't get what they want, I feel like you're going to be like seeing it right away and pointing those traits out in someone like right away. Okay, or if somebody has like an anger problem or has issues with that, I feel like you're gonna identify it right away. We have student, humility, devotion to knowledge, and openness to lifelong learning. Wow, I love that with the Queen of Swords. And devotion to knowledge and openness to lifelong learning. And maybe some of you are going to be, training in a new area, or you're going to be graduating. For those of you that just are graduating, you were a student and you are graduating. Some of you, I feel like during this Saturn and Aries period, you're going to be perhaps teaching, or you're going to be becoming an authority on something with the Queen of Swords here. But you always keep up with your reading and your knowledge because you are a lifelong student and you do love learning, I feel, okay? And sometimes you can kind of go down the rabbit hole of learning things and but I mean, there could also be somebody who is constantly going back to school all the time but doesn't really know what they want to do and refuses to really engage with what they're learning and is very arrogant about their knowledge, okay? I don't feel like that's you, pile number 3, but you may run into a lot of people that are, especially like young, immature guys who are very arrogant and think that they have the world figured out, and think that they know everything and are very like not very smart and just are like And that may rub you the wrong way, pile number 3, during Saturn. I mean, it would rub anyone the wrong way at any time, I feel. But some of you may be running. And I feel like with the Queen of Swords, you're not going to have any problem in an argument logically breaking it down or cutting something off at the knees, because you're like, okay, because you've done your studying and your learning, and you're not at a place where you're gonna just sit there and listen to shit, pile number 3. So I mean, if someone tries to test you in any way and try to tell you that, you know, you don't know, or you don't know the truth, or, you know, you don't have your facts and figures correct, or things like that, I feel like you're just gonna come in and cut that right off at the knees clean, okay? And I wouldn't want to be the person that tries to step to you that way, pile number 3, because I feel like with topics that if you don't know something, you're not going to like sound off on it, because you have more self-control than that, Queen of Swords, okay? But if it's a topic that you know a lot about and you know the answer, and someone else is getting pissed because you're calling them out about something, or they're trying to insist that they're right, I feel like you're just gonna be like, show, like, you know, just with the precision of a Japanese, what are the Japanese warriors called? I can't think of them right now because I'm channeling, but you're just gonna cut them off at the knees, pile number 3, okay? So that's kind of fun. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in those moments when you do that, because I do feel like there are some men, perhaps particularly because we have this younger man here, whose egos may take a beating at the hands of you as you cleanly cut through a situation. Pile number 3. My loves, okay? I love to see it. Bravo, bravo, my friends. If that's the case and you end up doing that, I know you're going to do it with class, dignity, and grace, my friends, and you're not going to let anyone ruffle your feathers, and you're just going to be real. You're going to be real about it. We have Saturn return and age, okay? Now, some of you here, you may be starting to get your first Saturn return, which is when we're 29 to 31, ages 29 to 31, or ages 58 to 60 is when we have our second Saturn return. So some of you, you may actually be hitting a major milestone in Saturn and Aries with Saturn returns. Okay, and we also have on this Saturn return card age 50, which Saturn doesn't return at age 50, but maybe some of you are in that mindset, or you're nearing that age, or you're thinking about what's going to happen near that age, okay? And with age, it gives us the ability to spot those unseen patterns. Like, are we always like running from things because we can't make a decision, so we just are like running from things? Or are we actually taking a proactive decision with the best information that we have? And we shouldn't be blaming ourselves for if we did make a bad decision, because we did the best with the information that we had at that time, okay? And as we get older, we are able to see our patterns with more clarity. And we're able to see where we get triggered. We're able to see where we have a tendency to have blinders on and miss things. We start to notice other people's patterns as well as our own, okay? And I feel like a lot of this pattern recognition can definitely be going on. And I do feel like Saturn and Aries does bring the wisdom to you. It does bring the knowledge to you. And because of that, I mentioned criticism with the Queen of Swords a little bit earlier. You know, being a little bit like critical of things that are not long lasting and things that are not grounded in reality. maybe something that is coming up for you guys as Saturn is moving into Aries. And that's okay. That's a part of the Saturn experience. When you're under the rays of Saturn, you're not going to be impressed by, cheesy platitudes about whatever. You're going to be looking for what is elegant and true and stands the test of time. What is a fundamental, foundational operating procedure in the ordering of the universe. You're not going to be looking for fluffy whatever, okay? You're going to be focused on what is real and tangible. So, I do feel like you could be getting a little more critical or a little more, especially of what people say, and like annoying platitudes and annoying things that are not tested by the standards of time. I feel like those things you will, the thing is that you're never too old to be a student of life and learn more, right? So some of you may decide to take a class, or you may decide to pick up some new knowledge, or study with a new teacher, or do some really interesting reading on things, okay? And it like really cements your knowledge, and it really does open your mind to things. But your teacher may be very Saturnian and really focused on like doing things one specific way and only that way, okay? So I had a teacher, like my first astrology teacher was like that, and I appreciated the groundingness of it, but also too, sometimes we have to explore beyond that, because if we're just gonna put on blinders and ignore anything else except these things, we're actually maybe limiting ourselves a little bit with what we can learn. And so anyway, it's something to think about. And we have balance, right? So what we're talking about is balance and finding harmony with all aspects of reality, and within ourselves and with other people. And there's something very elegant about that, right? And maintaining that polite balance with others, and in a society so everyone can function together, versus people who are not able to do that and are very out of balance with others and who they are. And I feel like you're going to be able to feel that right away, pile number 3, because it's a huge, and the Queen of Swords in the tarot is Libra energy anyway. So there's an elegance. Saturn in Libra is actually like an exalted Saturn. Saturn in Aries is in fall. So, this type of like, how do we strengthen Saturn, or how do we become a balancing point to that is very important. So pile number 3, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Thank you so much for joining your reading. Wishing you the very best. Take care.